She pointed at my front porch and snapped her fingers, and out of nowhere, 3 bikers rolled up on loud engines. Their leather jackets had fake HOA badges stitched on the back, like they thought that gave them some kind of authority. One of them stepped off his bike and said, "Your wife has to come with us. HOA rules." My wife froze at the door, clutching the frame, whispering, "This can't be real." I stepped forward, keeping my voice calm but sharp. "You're not touching her. This is my land." But the tall one laughed, pulled a folded paper from his pocket, and slapped it against my chest. It was some bogus eviction notice, stamped with a red seal that wasn't even official. According to the HOA, she's trespassing. She's coming with us now. Inside, I felt the old instincts kicking in. My blood slowed instead of racing, the way it always did back in missions overseas. They thought I was just another husband they could scare. They had no idea who they were standing in front of. My wife looked at me, fear rising in her eyes, but I gave her a small nod. Then I lowered my voice so only the bikers could hear. "Do you boys even know what Delta Force means?" The smirk slid off his face for the first time. But before he could respond, I noticed the smallest twist. One of the bikers wasn't looking at me. He was staring at the unmarked SUV parked across the street, its tinted window rolled down just an inch. Someone else was watching this whole thing. The biker leader jerked his head toward the SUV, then barked at his crew, "Ignore it, just grab her." 2 of them stomped up the porch steps, heavy boots shaking the wood. My wife cried out, "Don't touch me!" but one reached for her arm anyway. That's when I moved. I caught his wrist midair, twisted, and dropped him to his knees before he even knew what hit him. The second one froze, his eyes wide, muttering, "What the hell?" I leaned in close, still holding the first guy pinned. "Last warning, step away from my wife." But instead of backing off, the leader pulled a chain from his belt and started swinging it, grinning like this was all a game. "Oh, tough guy, huh? HOA doesn't care who you are." He cracked the chain against the porch rail, splintering wood. I felt my wife trembling behind me, so I shifted just enough to shield her. That's when I saw movement from across the street. The SUV door opened slowly, and a man in a dark suit stepped out. He wasn't a neighbor, and he wasn't here by accident. He held up a phone, angled right at us, recording everything. The biker leader glanced at him and growled, "Put that camera down before I—" But the suited man just smirked. "No," he said coolly. "This is exactly what I was waiting for." The bikers froze for a split second, confused by the man's confidence. The leader tried to play it off, barking, "You don't know who you're messing with." But the suited man stepped closer, his voice calm, almost amused. "Funny. I was about to say the same thing." I kept my stance solid, still holding one thug twisted on the ground. My eyes locked on the stranger. Something about the way he carried himself. It wasn't random. He wasn't just a witness. My instinct screamed he was connected to this setup. My wife whispered behind me, "Who is he?" I didn't answer. Instead, I asked the man directly, "You watching, or are you pulling the strings?" He smiled faintly and slid a badge from his jacket, flashing it just long enough for the bikers to panic, but not long enough for me to confirm what agency it belonged to. The leader cursed under his breath and hissed at his crew, "Stick to the plan, grab her now." The second biker lunged again, but this time I let him. He reached for my wife's arm, and in one motion, I yanked the first guy to his feet, shoved him into his buddy, and both crashed down the steps like bowling pins. The suited man didn't flinch. He just kept filming, his phone steady. Perfect. This is the evidence I needed. I narrowed my eyes. Evidence? For who? For what? And then it hit me. The SUV, the recording, the fake HOA papers. This wasn't just intimidation. This was a setup. Someone wanted me caught on camera reacting like the bad guy. The sheriff walked over with a grin that didn't belong on a man in uniform. He clapped the suited man on the shoulder and said, loud enough for me to hear, "Glad you called me in. Let's wrap this up clean." My wife's face drained of color. "Wait, the sheriff's with them?" she whispered. The suited man finally lowered his phone, sliding it into his jacket like the job was already done. "You see, Commander," he said smoothly, "the HOA has rules. You broke them. This footage makes you look like a violent threat." The bikers, still groaning on the ground, started to grin again, realizing backup had arrived. The sheriff adjusted his hat, leaned against his cruiser, and drawled, "Arresting you will be the easy part. Question is, do I put your wife in protective custody now or later?" That one line lit a fire in me. Protective custody. That meant they weren't done with her. This wasn't about rules. This was about leverage. I took a slow step off the porch, my boots crunching on gravel. "You think you're in control?" I said, my voice low. "But you never checked who owns the land you're standing on." The sheriff frowned. "What the hell does that mean?" I reached into my back pocket and pulled out a folded document, sealed with the Department of Defense crest. The suited man's smirk faltered for the first time. "This cabin," I continued, unfolding it carefully, "is classified property under federal protection, which means every second of you trespassing here," I nodded toward the hidden camera mounted on my porch light, its red light blinking steadily, "is already being streamed to people who outrank both of you." The sheriff froze mid-step. The suited man's smile vanished completely. And my wife whispered, almost in disbelief, "You planned for this."